Hello and welcome to Balderdash Academy. I am your headmaster, Bob LeBlanc. Joining me tonight is our head of English Language Arts, Professor Molly McGill.
Hello, everyone.
We have our temporary assistant coach of the Balderdash Academy Dashers, Carla Rose Dubois.
Ready to do it? Let's do it!
Head of STEAM for Balderdash Academy, Professor Nate Green.
Ach, guten Tag.
And our reigning champion, Head of Home Ec and Wellness, Professor Marie Stewart Harmon.
Hello, not champions.
Hi.
Bring it on. This is the first time I've ever won anything.
This is her first win. This is the first time she's champion. So, our visiting professor today is Shawn French, video game writer and designer for Hyperkinetic Studios, lead writer of the RPG Epic Tavern, which I just downloaded, writer and creator of Murder on the Midway for the Tales app. It's kind of a gamified choose-your-own-adventure. It's awesome. I'm about halfway through that. So before finding his home in games, he paid the bills as a stand-up comic and comedy writer, sports journalist, and videographer, and film critic. And that alone means he's going to fit very well here at the Academy. Shawn is also the co-creator, and writer of the comic book series Escape from Jesus Island, and writer and director of the horror flick The Wrong House. Links to Shawn's work are in the description. Shawn, welcome to Balderdash Academy.
For having me. I just want to start right out of the gate with a solid 50 taunting points for Marie. That's a cold open. And, the defending champion's off to a good start.
50 taunting points for Marie.
I see where this
I'm
is
flattered
going,
and
I
now
fit
very
right
nervous.
in.
Now, aren't we? Okay.
The head's getting bigger.
Now, Shawn has agreed to be the scorekeeper tonight while the faculty members compete for the coveted reigning champion banner. They will perform a series of challenges, and at the end of each challenge, Shawn will assign points to the competitor he feels is most worthy. He's not looking for the correct answer, but the best answer. The points are arbitrary and can be given to anyone for any reason. At the end of the show, the faculty member with the most points will be named the reigning champion. Our current champion is Marie Stewart Harmon. All right. That sound means it is now time for a pop quiz, and our first pop quiz is from Professor Molly McGill of English Language Arts. Molly.
Hello, faculty and visiting professor. Good to see you all again. I hope you have been studying your vocab words that I've given you, faculty. We'll see if they have, visiting professor. As we kick it off, as always, I'm going to shoot you today's word of the day. You'll let me know what you think the correct meaning is, or the best, and we'll see what our visiting professor thinks of your answer. Are you ready for today's word of the day? Today's word of the day is Twibill. Today's word of the day is Twibill. Twibill.
Twibill.
Bob, Twibill.
Twibill. Well, Twibill stems from a cultural phenomenon of the last decade. What Twibill is an online phenomena in which somebody claims publicly that you enjoy the book Twilight. What Twibill does is allow you to sue them for that written word as a defamation of character. Twibill.
Twibill. Defamation of character for liking the Twilight movie. Carla Rose, what do you got? Twibill.
Well, Professor Molly, I am no entomologist, but I do know this word because it is a sports-related theme. You see, Twibill is an old medieval game. Twibill. That end part is the root for ball. Twiball. Game that is played with a ball, a rock that is fashioned into a ball. You play it at twilight, so it's really hard to see. Okay, and the person that lives, okay, is the person that gets the ration of grain for the day. So tribal, medieval.
Okay, a game out of a stoning. Nate.
Yeah. Twibill is actually the name of the fan club for Barbara Walters, and they call themselves the Twibills because they just love it so much. They're a big group. It's a family. They have a lot of great dinners.
Okay. Stand for Barbara Walters. Okay, Marie, what do you got? Twibill.
Yes, a Twibill, it only happens twice a year. It is on the solstices, and it happens at midnight on the solstice. If you are in a field on the solstice, be it winter or summer, at midnight, a table will manifest itself in the field, and those who have seen this Twibill are few and far between, and you have to be present in the field at midnight on the solstice. Twibill.
All right. Okay, visiting professor, we have to review Bob's defamation for saying that somebody likes the movie Twilight. Suable offense. Carla Rose's stoning game, where you fashion a ball out of a rock and everybody dies but one. We have Nate's a fan club for Barbara Walters, because who doesn't love B.W. And Marie's manifesting table on the solstice. What do you think? Twibill.
I think right out of the gate, we have to give 25 wardrobe points to Carla Rose. Let's get that out of the way. Let's give 50 points to Bob for his Twilight Bible. That seems like a valid thing. Something we should.
Thank you.
If it's not the definition, it should exist.
It should.
It's something we need. We'll give Nate 20 points for an answer I don't understand at all, just for the completely boggling me, which is an experience I enjoy. And 25 points to Marie for her great pumpkin answer.
Excellent. Just so you know, faculty, once again, I'm rather disappointed in you not having studied your vocab words, but it's fine. We're all learning together and moving forward. Fail once, fail twice, keeps us going forward. Okay, so the actual meaning of Twibill is something that can be found in probably 75% of all video games involving some sort of fighting, which is a double-bladed battle axe. Pretty sure I've seen it in Shining Force. Zelda? I think so.
Awesome.
All right. So, double-bladed axe. Before we move on there, I just want to say that our points stand with Molly with 0 points. Next, we have Nate with 20, Carla Rose with 25, myself with 50, and our reigning champion is in the lead with 75 points. Now,
I don't even know how that happened.
Good answers. In honor of our visiting professor's work playing monsters and bad guys in bad indie films you've never heard of, his words, not mine, today's 4 questions are about the king of indie horror camp, Troma Entertainment. Now, whichever one of our faculty members gives the best answer, not the correct answer necessarily, but the best answer, Shawn will award points. Our first question. Troma Entertainment was founded in 1975 by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hurds. What do the company creators say that the name Troma means? Nate, what do you got?
It is a hybrid of different words, being troll and Roma, which, in the U.S. is Rome, in Italy it's Roma, and that came about because they were walking around Rome one night, and a bunch of trolls came and took their children, which was fine with them.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens.
Troma.
It's okay. So a portmanteau of troll and Roma. Molly, what do you got?
Oh, Troma is actually a homage to the word trauma, because all good B horror films need a whole lot of trauma. Whether it's an arm that gets ripped off and turned into a machine gun, or a leg that is actually a live octopus. Troma is based on trauma.
Troma to trauma. Marie, what's your call?
Troma is something that came from how these creators were inspired to make this company. It all comes back to our moms. They felt so strongly that the traumas, back to what somebody else had said, the traumas that they had experienced, thank you, Molly, a lot of them had stemmed from their mothers. And so they felt the way to pay homage to them and how they've moved forward and come into their new lives in this industrious business that they've built together is to pay homage to their mothers and the trauma that they gave them. Trauma!
All right, Marie with mummy issues. Carla Rose, what do you say?
Well, if I remember correctly, was it Lester, the guy? Anyway, Lester, he
Lloyd?
Lloyd. He started having headaches one day. This was many years ago, and his childhood best friend was very concerned about him. So they went to the doctor. They did one of those scan things, and they found that he had a lesion on his brain. And it was called a troma. It was like some sort of ganglion of some sort. So he went and he had it removed. Once Lester had this removed, it was like the dam broke and all of these ideas just flooded. It just came out, and he and his best friend, Matthew, they were like, we have to start a company. And it is all thanks to that trauma, that I had removed, which he has in a glass jar of formaldehyde on his desk to remind him what is responsible for his success.
Like you do. So all very good answers. Shawn, we had Nate with a portmanteau of troll and Roma. We have Molly with an homage to trauma. We have Marie with an honor to mummy issues. And Carla Rose with a brain lesion. Also, her answer was trauma. The actual answer is that they told people that trauma was the ancient Latin word for excellence on film, which fits the company pretty damn well. In reality, in 1974, when they were forming the company, every name they could think of was taken, so they just made up a word. Shawn, how would you like to score?
Out of respect to Paul F. Tompkins, any clumsy portmanteau has to be rewarded, so we're going to give that 75 points to Nate. And let's go 25 to Molly for having answer that made a lot of sense. And let's go 30 points to Carla Rose for the what kind of seemed like almost a valid origin story for Lester.
If they end up watching this, expect it as a film in 2024.
Sorry, Lester.
So,
and Matthew, right?
Lester and Matthew, yeah. Side note, while I died while Carla Rose was giving her first answer, my brain, even though I know etymology, my brain always adds the N. So whenever I say the word, I say entomology. So whenever I hear it, especially when it was done on purpose, it kills me. Aside over. Now, their signature film, Toxic Avenger, had a famously disturbing head-crushing scene. Their special effects artist used what common items to bring this effect to life? Carla Rose, what do you have?
I saw this movie like 30 years ago. I'd have to, if I remember correctly, there were people in ballet costumes dancing around. There was some classical music, and then there was just like this giant nutcracker dude, and he had this giant mouth. And then they had this guy put his head in there, like they forced him, of course, and then they were just like, and then like it was gory. It really was a game changer. I can't watch ballet anymore.
All right,
I ruined it.
Cracked by a giant nutcracker. Nate, what do you have?
They wanted to keep it simple, so what they did is they they filmed it inside of a pressure vacuum space that NASA has, and what they did is they just sucked all of the air out of the room to create that massive vacuum, and it just imploded the head. And it was a one taker, and very simply done. Yeah.
All right, filmed in a vacuum. Molly, what's your call?
Well, look, a lot of people on set were pressuring this special effects artist, and they're like, just take it old school, like elementary school Halloween. Let's do spaghetti and peeled grapes and all that kind of gross stuff. And this special effects artist was like, oh hell no, I'm making a name for myself on this. And there happened to be a lot of stray cats around, like tons of stray cats. It's not going there, Bob. So
Okay,
what she did was she went around and she collected all the coughed up hairballs that she could find, masked them into this like gnarly looking goopy soupy hair covered thing, and whoop, looked like brains.
First off, thank you, because I was halfway through writing my apology letter to the ASPCA. Molly with hairballs. Marie, what do you have?
Molly is on to something in that the special effects director was actually a mom. Molly identified her as female.
Flashback.
What she did.
This has been a Balderdash Academy flashback.
Moms are able to like pull things together in ways that I will never understand. And so this mom was tasked with procuring the head squelching effects of a brain exploding, and she was like, guys, I've got Jell-O and Play-Doh in my kitchen at home. Give me 5 minutes. She's got the Play-Doh all correctly in the right shape, and then she just added the Jell-O into the Play-Doh where necessary, and all of a sudden, brains and head components squelching out of a skull was very easy for her to create.
Squelch. Love it.
Squelching out of a skull.
Head components.
All right. So, squelching crafts. So we have Carla Rose with a giant nutcracker, Nate, it was filmed in a vacuum, Molly with hairballs, and Marie with squelching crafts due to mother powers. In reality... Mum skills. In reality, on such a tight budget, they did it simply by injecting a melon with corn syrup and red food dye and putting a wig on it.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with
Classic
you,
move.
it was a pretty damn good effect for 1985.
Yeah.
Cheap, yeah. All right, Shawn, how would you like to score?
Let's go 10 points for the Nutcracker to Carla Rose. If that hasn't been done yet, it will at some point by Troma. Nate, the one-taker line, just it kind of hit me out of nowhere, knocked me off my guard. I like that a lot. Let's do 20 points for that. Molly for painting this whole scene, even if the ultimate answer didn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's do 35 points for that. It was entertaining. And Marie will get 40 points for actually coming up with something that I think I could probably use to pull off the effect.
Oh.
That's all.
Play-Doh and Jell-O.
All right. Now, so Troma is known for their raunchy horror comedies. They actually started off as a sex comedy company before finding horror. But Troma has also helped on other films, including one of my favorites, 1981's groundbreaking My Dinner with Andre. So the question is, what did Troma do for that film? Let's go with Marie. What's your call on that?
Well, in the big finale of My Dinner with Andre, as you probably all know, the entire kitchen explodes. So they're all sitting down to dinner, and the kitchen table just... And so the My Dinner with Andre executives were not prepared for these special effects and realized that it was the culminating scene in the movie, and they really needed to call in some people that they knew what they were doing. So this was for the exploding dinner scene at the end of the movie, the culmination of the film.
Which, honestly, I mean, that's what made Wallace Shawn famous, right? Carla Rose, what do you have?
Well, if there are two things that I know about, it's sex and comedies. Simultaneously, really. So if I remember correctly, this, Andre, right? He was that seal that made the news in Maine. So this was about My Dinner with Andre. So it was like this cute little, it was like these little bowl of fish, and then the seal trainer or the saver or whatever, and then Andre were sitting there and they were eating by, firelight, but Andre was really scared of fire, so they had to do it in the dark. But this, Lester and Matthew, what they did is they used their huge influence to procure the background music for this touching and lovely scene. They were able to hire the band, the Squelching Tromas, and they came and they played their fusion of reggae and thrash metal, which Andre, started wave surfing.
If there's not a band by the time we're done known as the Squelching Tromas, I'm going to be disappointed. Nate, what do you say?
So it wasn't the seal that they had dinner with. It was Andre the Giant, and this was actually put in midway through filming because they had to do so many takes of the dinner portion that Andre had a little tummy trouble. So they had to bring in Troma to help with the bathroom scene because it was just way too messy, and they needed some way to have them help hone it in and kind of control it because Andre the Giant's a big guy.
All right. So, Molly, what do you have?
Well, not much, Bob. So they started. This was actually originally called My Dinner with Fabio, because they really thought, when you think about sex and sex sells, you think Fabio, right? I mean, who doesn't? So they all of a sudden got sued halfway through the making of the movie and had to change the name to Andre. They felt it sounded exotic, but still wholesome and masculine enough. So My Dinner with Andre, Troma came in and helped to shift that whole focus and make it into a real classic, real cult classic.
All right, that's good answer. So we have Marie with the exploding kitchen scene, which My Dinner with Andre is obviously famous for. We have Carla Rose with securing music from the Squelching Tromas. We have Nate's Andre Giant's bathroom scene, and Molly helping to shift focus from Fabio to Andre. All good answers. All wrong, but all good answers. It was a far more simple answer. Troma provided production support for the film. Kaufman served as a production manager. So, Shawn, how would you like to score that?
The reference to the obviously classic exploding kitchen scene, that's worth 10 points for Marie there.
Classic scene, yes.
Classic. It's one of my favorites. It's the reason I became a filmmaker.
Thank you.
Scene.
I'm glad.
Yep. Any Fabio reference is worth 20 points, so that's good for Molly. Nate will get 25 for the Andre the Giant gastric issues, which if you read interviews with anyone who's worked with him, they all have stories about his just unbelievable gas. And then Carla Rose will get 50 points for her shout out to my old improv group, the Squelching Tromas.
There you go. All right, in our last question. In 2008, the Toxic Avenger was turned into what? Molly, what's your answer?
A musical. Hello. The Toxic Avenger musical hit the stage. It began in off-Broadway, quickly got swept up because people just couldn't get enough of a singing and dancing garbage man heap of steaming garbage man heap. Anyways, it was great success. Everyone knows the song, if you gotta just recycle it, no, throw it in the dump. I mean, it's just so good. So obviously, musical.
All right, musical for Molly. Marie, what's your answer?
It was a porn. They were ahead of their time from the Avengers, and the Avengers is actually the non-porn version of the Toxic Avenger. So it's really like there's a whole lot of steps that we had to take to get to the Avenger films, and the Toxic Avenger porn was one of them.
Makes sense. Carla Rose, what's your answer?
Well, I think in like 2007 and a half, Dodge, with, fond memories of their Aries successful vehicle, bought the Toxic Avenger and made a vehicle called the Toxic Avenger, which ran on, as a way to recycle toxic waste. And it glowed in the dark. And believe it or not, it became the official tour vehicle of the Squelching Tromas. So.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Nate, what do you have?
Well, we're not in a day and age where we have original stuff. I mean, we recycle things, so they wanted to reboot it. What they did is they figured out that they couldn't really take that massive amount of greatness and stick it into one thing. So what they did is they split it into 3 different personalities, and that's where we came up with the serialized Powerpuff Girls. And each one of the Powerpuff Girls is a different element of the Toxic Avenger, and really pulls at my heartstrings.
That makes a lot of sense. So we have Molly with a musical, Marie with a porn, Carla Rose with a car that ran on toxic waste, and Nate with the Powerpuff Girls. The correct answer was, in fact, a musical. It debuted at the George Street Playhouse in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and opened in New York in the fall of 2008. So, well done, Molly. Shawn, how would you like to score that?
Let's give 20 points each to Molly and Marie, because I think both those answers were probably correct.
If they haven't made the porn yet, they're gonna sue.
Maybe the year was off, but I'm pretty sure it exists somewhere. And we'll give Nate 50 points for having a stroke in the middle of his answer and continuing anyway.
I have those a lot.
Stroke of genius.
All right.
10 points for that.
Nice.
Okay, so our points are... Currently, I'm in last place with 50 points. Next, we have Molly with 100, Carla Rose with 125, our reigning champion Marie has 145, and Nate is in the lead with 190.
A wise man once said, "It takes a special kind of insanity to really just love the complexity of game writing," and that was a mouthful. This wise man said it after his house was broken into. What's a guy got to do to get a ladle around here? Listen to his story on the next episode of Balderdash Academy. That is a mouthful. That's what she said.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can find us on your favorite podcast service as Balderdash Academy. Go Dashers!